All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I am so thrilled to get to introduce you to a couple of wonderful people today. And these are people who partner with us here at Love.Life Telehealth. First of all, a little bit about me. So my name is Dr. Nikki Davis. I am a former rocket scientist turned lifestyle medicine physician, and I am very passionate about helping my patients get well and stay well by treating the root cause of their chronic lifestyle-related medical conditions so that they can live life to the fullest. Now, today is special. I have the absolute pleasure of introducing you to both Dr. Will Shu, who is the Chief Medical Officer at L-Nutra Health, and also Ashley Bazell, who is the Clinical Nutrition Manager at L-Nutra Health. So hello, Dr. Shu. Hello, Ashley. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Davis. What a pleasure. We've been your guest before on this podcast or webinar, and glad to be back again.
Yes, thank you for having us, Dr. Davis. It's so nice to be here and to chat with you and talk a little bit about our programs and what we do at L-Nutra Health.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. So I guess, first of all, I would love, for people who don't know the two of you, maybe if you could both just give us a little bit of a background on who you are and, how you got to where you are today.
I think I have to yield the seat to Ashley first, and yeah.
Well, thank you. Yes, my name is Ashley Bazell, and I'm the Clinical Nutrition Manager at L-Nutra Health. I'm a dietitian and also a diabetes educator, and have been in nutrition for almost 20 years, starting out in outpatient and then doing some inpatient nutrition, and then really wanting to get back to preventative health care and really helping people on the front lines make lifestyle choices, make diet choices so that they can increase their health span and just feel good and improve their overall health by treating root cause. So this is a great place to be at L-Nutra Health. Because that's exactly what we do here, is help empower you to make good choices and help you with a tool to help you treat the root cause of disease, whether that's obesity or diabetes. But yes, love the field of nutrition and helping people incorporate that into their diet to improve their health.
And
Great, thank
Dr.
you.
Will, I'm Dr. Will Shu. I'm an endocrinologist. I've been in medicine for about 25 years, and was been doing research, taking care of patients at an academic center, a place called Joslin Diabetes Center up in Boston. But realized that there's an opportunity to really challenge the way we take care of people with metabolic health. In the past, I used to give a lot of medications and thinking that we have to drive good outcomes by giving patients medications. But I've long since realized that the true way to address diabetes or metabolic health issue is really by treating the root cause and using the principles of lifestyle medicine, adding innovation through lifestyle medicine. We now are able to activate the body's ability for repair. And this is why about 5 years ago I left Harvard to come to L-Nutra and to come up to really design the program to help our patients who want to restore their metabolic health with natural means, with scientific, with evidence-based means to restore their metabolic health. So that's really the story of my professional life.
Wonderful. So for people who aren't super familiar with L-Nutra, you mentioned a little bit getting to the root cause instead of just relying on medications. We're looking to utilize lifestyle medicine and then some innovation, looking at that to see what can we do to get to that root cause of some of these metabolic diseases and diabetes. So why don't one of you tell us a little bit about what L-Nutra is, because we've been working with you guys for a while now as the doctors that are helping manage some of the patients in your programs. So yeah, why don't you just give us a little bit of an idea as what L-Nutra provides?
Yeah. So, I think when we look at nature, you see that animals, including mankind have the ability uh, to take disadvantages in the environment and turn that into advantages. And the body actually has the ability to heal. It has an inherent ability uh, to to do right from a lot of the lifestyle choices that we may not have followed for enough time. And L-Nutra really was built upon this principle, that through lifestyle changes, and especially through a very particular lifestyle intervention that's called fasting, it can activate the body's ability to repair. And what I'm talking about is not simply what a lot of people have heard about, through 16/8 or intermittent fasting, although they do have their benefits. What we're talking about is simulating the biological responses to the stress of prolonged fasting. And there is a technology that was invented at the University of Southern California together with L-Nutra as a company. It's called the Nutra technology is called fasting mimicking diet. Through the fasting mimicking diet, we are able now to actually. I'm going to kind of simplify this whole description, but the idea is that through fasting mimicking diet technology, we now are able to make the cells rejuvenate under the pressure of fasting. But since it's a simulated fast, we're still providing nutrition so the body could get the benefits of fasting without kind of the burden of fasting. So, long story short, with a 5-day fasting mimicking diet, the body is able to rejuvenate, lower their biological age by 2.5 years, even just with short periods of simulated fast. We are now able to show, for example, in people with diabetes, lower demand or lower requirement for diabetes medications. And then we're able to truly reverse metabolic health with simulated fast with the fasting mimicking diet. And so it's really the L-Nutra Health, which is the medical arm of the company, is really a translation of this a 2-decade long research to help people to live their metabolic health, to live their metabolic best with less reliance and dependence on medications. And so I'm sure we'll cover more about that, but that's kind of the overall 30,000-foot view on the
Yeah,
program, the company.
great. And maybe, Ashley, if you could tell people a little bit about what the program looks like. And I know right now it's the medical arm, as you just mentioned, Dr. Shu, is really this diabetes remission program, correct? I don't know, do you have any other medical programs besides that one, or is that's what you are doing right now, correct?
Yes, we actually have two programs. We have
Okay.
our diabetes remission and regression program that you were just referring to, which is our 12-month program for people that have diabetes. And then we also have a 6-month metabolic program. And that is specifically, I mean, it could really be for anyone, but people that have metabolic disease, so maybe prediabetes, maybe just obesity, maybe high blood pressure or high cholesterol. And we have people that are just wanting to be proactive and get healthy. So it's a good comprehensive program for those members at 6 months. So it's shorter, but it still is very comprehensive and allows people to get education, to have labs in the beginning and at the end, and to be able to see improvement over the course of the program.
Great. And both programs include medical appointments with one of the physicians that typically through Love.Life Telehealth, right? And then they also are getting very frequent appointments with the dietitian as well. I think you, as well as maybe there's one or two others.
Yes, we have a team of 3 dietitians right now, and we're growing very quickly. But you're exactly right. So in the diabetes remission and regression program, one thing that's really great about it is you have this whole team approach to health. And so we partner with Love.Life to meet with those members and make sure that they're appropriate for the programs, make sure it's safe for them to do, and they give them guidance on what to do with their medications during the fast. And the RDs come along, like you mentioned, twice a month and are there to help encourage them along the fast, help provide insight, tips, and tricks for even in between the fast and how to improve their diet. People come to us from all different health backgrounds, and some are already generally pretty healthy and know what to eat. They just need that accountability. And some are starting with not even knowing where to begin. And so we're there to help coach them through that process. So in the diabetes program, they meet with our Love.Life physicians, they get labs, they get good information on how to begin, and then the RDs coach them along. And then we do that lab work every 3 months so that they can assess their progress and continue to work every 3 months with labs, with you, the physicians at Love.Life Telehealth, and then with the RDs throughout the entirety of the program.
Great, great. Yeah, well, I have to say I've had a really good experience so far, and I have patients coming through this program in different ways. So I definitely have some patients that I've seen for a long time who have made some lifestyle changes, but are still struggling to get their A1C down to where they would like and trying to get off more medications. And so this has been really something that I've seen help some of my current patients just do better and be able to get, more reversal of that disease. And then the opposite side too, where I have brand new patients coming in who've heard about this fasting mimicking, and then they come to me saying, okay, I want to start this program. What else should I do? So in addition to doing these 5-day fasts every month, what should I do on the other 25 days? So then that's where we can also talk about the other pillars of lifestyle medicine. What does your diet look like during those 25 days? What kind of physical activity should you be doing? Are you sleeping well? Are you managing stress? All of the other things that come into, making sure that you have a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. And Dr. Davis, I think, we both have taken care of individuals who are super motivated to incorporate lifestyle medicine to make a commitment to change the way they live the way they eat and exercise. But we're all humans, and from time to time we do fall short of the goals that we wanted to establish for ourselves. And so when that happens, and inevitably that happens through a long periods of time, for example, like a course of a year. And what I find is having a tool, an intervention, a nutrition intervention that is based on a 5-day routine, 5 days per month, really adds to the commitment, adds to the power of everyday good diet and exercise. And so, I often use this analogy, and hopefully it's helpful for our listener. Is yes, do we want our kids to all study every single day in college? Of course, we tell them to. Um, do they actually do it? Well, maybe some, but that could be a small percentage of the student population, right? But what happens around exam times? Well, the students would gather in libraries and in the dormitory, and they'll cram for a couple of days, right? And try to make sure that there is enough pressure there to force them to learn the materials that they ought to learn. Now, the ideal case is they do both. They study every day, and then they have this intensive period of preparation before the exam. But when the ideal doesn't always become reality, then you want to make sure at least that they study before the exam, right? So they can gather, and it's that pressure, that stress of exam that heightens the mind, that accelerates the learning. Much the same way during a 5-day fasting mimicking diet, that 5 days is stress to the body. It heightens the body's ability to repair. It unearths a lot of the potential that the body has to rejuvenate, to lower biological age, to recycle some of the unwanted things in the body, and to restore metabolic health. And that's exactly what happens with the 5 days. Now, do we want everybody to eat right? You know, whole food, plant-based, uh, certainly for the rest 25 days. But we all know that if people could do that for the rest of their lives, they would not have developed diabetes in the first place. So
Yeah.
it's a pragmatic solution. But the combination of having this, this sophisticated technology called the fasting mimicking diet, that really is a product of 20 years of research, also a partnership with 18 universities around the world to come up and test this product is certainly it's marvelous. But also having the physician like yourself, Dr. Davis, and the RD like Ashley, and the dietitian team to provide the high touch during the journey will make sure that people actually achieve the goals, right? And so I think it's that combination of high touch with high tech. It's what gives this program such a unique value.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that you make such a good point there that, you know, if people were able to really follow through with a really healthy lifestyle, they wouldn't be in this position to begin with. So there's something there that, and I do think that having those 5 days, you're getting the benefit of putting yourself through the fast. But in addition to that, it's also, in a way, a reset, right? Now, all of a sudden, you're following, you know, you've got this box and you're doing what each day says that you need to be doing. And, you know, and I went through and I did this 5-day program as well, so that I knew what it was like to do
Mhm.
this 5-day fasting mimicking. And I have to say that at the end of the 5 days, you know, you're slowly introducing food again. You're not looking to have a double cheeseburger immediately, right? You feel so good, and you feel so light that you want to continue that feeling. And so I think it does help you to want to
Mm.
eat better after you complete those 5 days as well. So I think it does also act as just kind of a reset motivationally.
Our
And I
members
remember,
definitely say that. I was just going to say that
Really?
our
yeah,
members, they always say that really, you feel invested because you've spent that time going through the fast, and then you want to fuel with good foods. You want to do something good for your body. So that helps kind of lead you into making better choices in between. So
yeah.
definitely
Actually,
motivation.
I remember you always remind me that this fasting period, it's a nourish fast, by the way. It's not just right. There's actually food in there. It really changes the relationship to the food for our members, right, Ashley?
Absolutely. It just makes you really appreciate foods. And I think you appreciate flavors, you appreciate textures, the things that kind of we talk about a lot of times with mindful based eating. But it really does. It helps kind of recenter your relationship with the food itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that my first meal after I finished the 5 days was the best roasted
Yeah.
cauliflower I have ever had. That's what I wanted for breakfast, was just roasted cauliflower, nothing on it, and it was fabulous. It was so
Yeah.
delicious.
It's interesting because a lot of the members come because the credibility in the science, because after all, we've now started our 30-second clinical trials, and this technology was founded with National Institutes of Health funding, and the mechanism was validated through the 2016 Nobel Prize on cellular autophagy. All of that drew people into the program, but I think what really kept people in the program is one, how they feel. And number two is the relationship our members have built together with their doctors, which is Dr. Davis and your colleagues, and also with Ashley and her colleagues, right? The registered dietitian. The relationship of restoring metabolic health, seeing medications coming off over the course of cycles, of months, weeks, and the sense of accomplishment that people feel is truly what keeps people in the program, and that's gratifying to see. That's what medicine should really be about.
Absolutely, I agree. Well, I don't know if now would be a good time, but Ashley, you had mentioned that you had a couple of interesting cases that you wanted to share. Is that
Yeah.
something that would be a good time to do?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like, we can talk about what the program looks like and, what we anticipate that you get out of it. But I think really hearing the stories that the members experience themselves, though, is always more meaningful. And so I wanted to share a member that came to us. She was 73. She was a female, and she had multiple health conditions, but she had diabetes. And she partnered with us and with Love.Life Telehealth, and she over the course of just 3 cycles of FMD, and that's 6 visits with the dietitian, that's 2 visits with the Love.Life Telehealth physician and labs, she was able to reduce her A1C from 12.6, which is really high. Her blood sugars were hanging out in the 400s, down to 6.1 in just 3 cycles. And so she was really somebody that came and went all in with her food choices in between as well, and going more whole food, plant-based, incorporated some activity. She had been inactive before, and just not really knowing where to begin, and just needed help. She needed accountability. And so that was huge. She has a CGM. That was something we looked at together. Her variability improved. Her kidney function improved. Her cholesterol dropped. She lost about 10 pounds in that time period. And I remember the physician that she saw said she had a resolution of a year-long rash in just those few short months. And so she's still with us and continuing to improve her health. But it's just a testament to just a couple of months of really kind of getting your health back, just focusing on yourself and on doing some FMD and good quality nutrition and exercise and sleep and community, all those pillars of lifestyle medicine that really have an impact on our longevity. So that was one of our diabetes members that just really had success in a short period of time. But we see that over and over again with members that once they incorporate those aspects, that they can really see long-term benefits.
Now, Ashley, was she on any medications to start with?
She was on insulin. She was on several in metformin, and she really didn't want to be on anything. You know, a lot of people that come to us, they're just tired. They're tired of getting more and more medication, the same story, and nothing's really helping. And so she, in that period of time, was able to come off of all of her diabetes medications, which is fantastic. So, and really the goal is to come off of medicines. Yeah.
And that's really important to mention too, because you see this, you know, from the 12% range to the 6% range of an A1C. And also, in addition to that, she stopped insulin, stopped metformin, which should be helping her A1C, right? So not only did she get that benefit, but she also got even more benefit because she was able to come off those medications. And that's something that, by using the doctors at Love.Life Telehealth, we are on the ball, making sure that we are being really careful with the medications, because once you start seeing those benefits and you start having that healing that your body is trying to do all the time, right? Once your body actually is able to get down to healing, then you can become over medicated very quickly, and it can become dangerous. And that's why I am just so thrilled that L-Nutra has these doctors kind of helping with that management, so that people who are on multiple medications, or maybe they're just on insulin, but they're nervous about doing this program because they're not sure what's going to happen with their medications and what they need to do with that. So we come up with a very detailed plan on, here's what I want you to do, not only during the fasts, but here's what I want you to do if your blood sugar is this. And you mentioned a CGM before, a continuous glucose monitor. A lot of our diabetics use those. So we can use those. We can use finger sticks to really monitor your blood sugar. And if we start to see things coming down, we start to see, maybe you start having even low blood sugars, like below 70, then we can really discuss what we need to do with those medications, because that is really important.
Oh, it's so important. Safety. We always stress safety. And I think that's one thing that, you know, our members really enjoy, is that relationship with you, the physician, and then the RD, that they feel like they're taken care of, you know, that somebody's there watching and helping them make good decisions to help them come off of some of those medicines.
And I think this is really unique in the sense that when you go to your general GPs, your general practitioners or family doctors, sometimes the time spent is very short, number one. Number two is that there's almost this paradigm where we should just get glucose control, right, as the focus, as the emphasis. And it doesn't matter if you're taking 3, 4, or 5 drugs, as long as the glucose is in control. And I really challenge that value proposition. I feel that, diabetes being such a lifelong condition, to be able to be free from the burden of multiple medications, the side effect, the cost, the constant jabbing, and the constant taking of multiple medications. By the way, here in the United States, on average, a person with diabetes takes about 6 medicines every single day. And I feel that the future of medicine should not be more and more medications, right? It should be how can we restore that metabolic health with less medicine is the ultimate goal. And I think we're making stride in this direction with this program. We're seeing really a double goal here. One is how do we lower that glucose control to as normal as possible? And number two is how do we reduce the burden of dependence on medications? And I believe that the people out there that are looking for this kind of solution, would be a wonderful program for those individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you had also mentioned people with prediabetes. You know, you're being told by your doctor, hey, by the way, your hemoglobin A1C is starting to creep up. You know, we need to start thinking about what are we going to do, because what they normally see is that it does transition into diabetes. That's why we're looking for prediabetes, right? Is so that we can say, hey, start your metformin now. But we have this opportunity now with people who are coming in with prediabetes, which is just an A1C between 5.7 and 6.4%. And now we can take those people and say, hey, if you come on this program, you make these changes, it is very likely that we can now get you back into the normal range without needing to be on any medications.
That's absolutely right. I was just thinking of another member too, that she came to us and to the metabolic program, and she fell in that category. Her A1C was 6.3. And her doctor had really kind of threatened a GLP-1 with her. She needed to lose weight, but her A1C had been rising over the last couple of years. And so she knew she needed to do something, and really was afraid of injections, just didn't want the burden of having to do something weekly. But knew she needed help. And so she joined our program, and she's someone that her weight was in the 300s. Her BMI was high in the 50s, and she just needed help. And so she was able to utilize the FMD along with the coaching, and over time, slowly, nice and steady weight loss. She dropped from like 330 to 305 down to 280. And after the course of a year had dropped 50 pounds. And we're still working towards her Fit to 50 next year, but she still wants to lose another maybe 50 more pounds. She wants to get below 200. And I know she can be successful. But in that period of time, in 6 months, she went from an A1C of 6.3 to 5.9. So we are quickly moving out of that prediabetes range and not having to go on any medication at all. So that's, somebody that is perfect for this program as well. So just trying to avoid, those types of medicines.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point, in that I think by following not only this program, but just making the choice to change the lifestyle, it allows you to take back control, right? So you said something that I thought was really incredible, where you said threatened with the GLP-1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear that a lot with my patients, that they are being told that they need to start a medication and they don't want to, and they don't like they feel almost bullied into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing this, you're not very smart. Based on your labs, you should be starting a medication. You should be starting this medication. And if you're not doing it, sometimes it can actually offend that physician who's trying to prescribe those medications for you. So what I really like about this idea is that patient now, instead of being told you have prediabetes, you need to start this medication, it's okay, you're given that information that you have prediabetes. Now you can take the control and say, okay, now what can I do for myself that's going to help me reverse or manage this condition in a way that I want to do it, and not just another script, right? Where I feel that right now, a lot of people are diagnosed with conditions and they feel completely out of control, right? They have no control in the situation. They have to just fall in line and do what they are being told to do by their team of providers, and they don't feel like they have any say. And so I really like that the patients feel like they do have say now. They get to decide what they can do for themselves. And then, bonus, by doing that, now they actually don't require those medications anymore.
And you see that confidence build in those members too, that just they feel empowered to make changes. I can do this for myself. And that's so rewarding as a clinician to see those kind of light bulbs go off in their head that they can impact their health. It's not hopeless.
Right, exactly.
It's been so long, I feel that our patients with living with obesity and diabetes have been told that this is a lifelong disease that you cannot do anything about. Over time, you're just going to become more dependent on medicine and eventually you'll end up on insulin. I think it almost borders a lie, where um, we can intervene. There's something that you can do. There are innovations and tools. There are new sciences that there are new evidence that as we address the underlying cause, aging, for example, the loss of muscle, right, and really drive a fat-based weight loss, not so much what the medications are doing today, where they're driving weight loss, but they're also driving muscle loss. All these things, by addressing really the true sources of these metabolic health issues, we can turn the course around. And I think that narrative needs to be communicated, especially to our listeners today.
All right. And Ashley, I don't know if you had another case that you wanted to talk about.
I mean, we have plenty of cases. Those are the two, just to give at least a glimpse of in the metabolic program and in the diabetes program. But
perfect.
But yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I know that you also have this new guide that you are giving out to people. I'm just going to pull it up here. It's called the Diabetes Guide for Supporting Loved Ones. Do you guys want to tell us a little bit about that, what this guide entails, and maybe we can talk through it a little bit?
Sure, I'll be happy to talk about it. I know we mentioned earlier that we're not just about nutrition and exercise, but the other pillars of lifestyle medicine. And one of those that's really important is, your relationships with others and community and that social component. And we put this together for our members because, especially around the holidays, but really any time of year, we struggle often with what to say to our loved ones. So this gives some insight of things that you can do, some kind of practical ways to be helpful for your loved ones that have diabetes, and be supportive. And so it really highlights some of those things like not being judgmental, encourage your loved ones with diabetes instead of being critical. This year when we're faced with all these holiday parties and just events around the holiday that involve eating, if you're pointing out things to people and making them feel shamed or it's really discouraging for those members. So just really kind of respecting their privacy, respecting their choices, but being there supportive and maybe finding other ways too, outside of just revolving everything around food, to be supportive too. Maybe doing an activity together, whether that's a card game or chess or a walk outside, just other ways that you can help encourage them to be successful and not just feel like it's their life 24/7 is being critical and, people judging them.
I remember in my practice, the holiday season was actually both stressful, not only for people living with diabetes, but also for their family members. um, and I actually published a paper, actually two papers around this topic about diabetes distress for people living with diabetes, but also for people who are caring for somebody who's been living with diabetes. And you can imagine that um, if you live together with somebody who has diabetes, you eat something, but the other person also has to eat, and there's often different concept about what should be consumed, and you feel guilty if you're enjoying something when you don't have diabetes, but your loved one has to restrict his or hers. And there are also times where you feel like, well, do I say something because I care for this person, but at the same time you feel like, how much is their personal space? And I give you one example. Uh, One of the common things, and actually you could tell me what's the best way to do this, but around holiday tables, there's often wonderful foods, and sometimes the heart is right, but the words don't come out right. And the family members would say, "Well, don't eat that," while they are stuffing their mouths, right, with that delicious food. Um, According to this guy, Ashley, what should somebody do about that? I mean, is pointing out something to eat, do not eat this, eat that. uh, how would you advise family members that?
Yeah, I think we all, our loved ones, we all want to be helpful, but we just don't always do it in the best way. And so I think that's what you were saying, is that just being cautious, but just letting them make the choices. And then being supportive, would you like, some vegetables with that? Just having varieties of things available to offer to them, but just not pointing a finger at what they're having or thinking like, oh, what's going to happen next if you eat that right there.
Yeah, it
It's just
sounds
really
judgmental, right?
encouraging. It is,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
it feels like, and right at the moment with festivity, um, yeah, and labeling food as bad and good during that sensitive time, people feel that it's pointing at them, right? They're being bad or being good. I think, but what are ways to but would you recommend that we suggest how what's the best way of suggesting according to this guide?
I think just offering, having options there for them and letting them make those choices. And then also, supporting them by having healthy options for, I mean, eating those yourself too,
Yeah,
mimicking what would be a good healthy plate. So having the options for them so that they can make a good decision, but also, supporting them by including the variety of healthy stuff in your diet too. So by example.
yeah. And likewise, I love another example here is around exercise. A lot of times we say, well, you should go out and walk. I think instead of telling our loved one to go out and do it kind of on their own, we should just make the time to do it together. What if
Mhm.
you go out with that person, with your loved one, and say, well, what about let's do it together, right? Let's go take a walk rather than say, you go out and take a walk, right? So I think that by people living with diabetes, they're under that kind of stress and pressure all their lives, right? People judging them, um, they feel lonely at times, they feel distressed. They sometimes like the motivation, but wouldn't it be so nice to have actually a partner that won't just tell them to do it alone, but actually would do it together with them?
Yeah, and I think that that's the key. And I think, in looking at this guide, I imagine that it would be good for someone who, say, does have diabetes, maybe is in the L-Nutra program and wants to give this to a loved one so that they understand a little bit more, the basics of how to be around someone who's living with diabetes, right? And then I can also see it as maybe people watching today who say, well, I don't myself have diabetes, but my loved one has it. And I want to know better how to
Mhm.
treat them and what to do to help support them. So I think that it can kind of go both ways there. But I think that you hit the nail on the head, that it's about that support, that supportive environment. It's not about pointing fingers. You should do that. You need to do that. You have diabetes. It's, and honestly, those lifestyle changes, they help so many more things than just diabetes,
Yeah,
right?
for
They
sure.
help your blood
Yeah.
pressure, your weight, your mood, so many different things. So by making healthy choices together, yeah, it's going to help that person's diabetes, but it's also going to help your own health too. And then you're helping your own health, and you're helping support your loved one to where they're not feeling as judged and they feel like they're part of a team. So I think that that's really, really important, that if you've got somebody who's struggling with diabetes and really having issues with having that support, you can be that person to help them with that.
Hmm. I think both of you brought up the issue of threats, and I'll be the first to admit a lot of physician uses that, right? If you don't lose weight next time, I'm gonna start you on insulin. I mean, hopefully I've been doing less and less over the years, but definitely I hear a lot of my colleagues do that, right? So the idea. I feel like family members sometimes use that threat as well. Like, if you don't do this, you're gonna lose your legs. You're gonna, all those horror stories, right? About like if you don't do something, you're gonna do. And I think that creates a lot of stress. And sometimes our ability to handle that stress is really diminished, especially around this time of the year. It's like, that's the last thing I need to hear. And so instead of motivating that individual, it actually could shut down all motivation for somebody at that period of time. So I know it's hard, having that patience during this time of the year, be of encouragement rather than to flash the card of threats. I think, and continue to nurture their relationship. I think in the long run, it's got to be so much more helpful.
Yeah. And I think being that supportive person, instead of, well, you need to eat this, this, and this, you need to go out, go for a walk, it's making those options available.
Mm-hmm.
And if they choose to eat those foods, go on those walks after they've had meals, whatever it is, then they'll be more successful because they've made that choice instead of feeling like they've been forced into it.
And I do feel that today, if we have loved ones here listening, and or that they know somebody they care very much for that they are struggling with diabetes, I just also wanted to acknowledge that it's difficult. It's challenging being a loved one for somebody with living with a chronic conditions such as diabetes. And just think about this condition. Uh, it's 24/7. There's unrelenting. There's not a time where you don't have to think about it. You think about it, you're reminded of the condition when you're eating, even when you don't eat, right? There's a risk of hypoglycemia if you're on medicine. And so that constant burden onto the psyche is difficult. And then for the loved ones to know how to deal with that. So I just wanted to also to do a shout out to those of you who have loved ones with diabetes, that we acknowledge that it is challenging and difficult, and certainly it's been recognized, I think, by the community, by the medical community, that it is you deserve some encouragement as well. So yeah. I think Dr. Davis to me seems to be frozen there. Does that happen? Are you seeing that?
I think so as well. Yes.
Okay. And so we talked about, exercise. We talked about food. We talked about building that relationship as key there. Actually, as I'm looking at this guy, there are probably a good maybe 15 items though there. It's so helpful. Yeah, we would love to make this available to you if it's yeah.
Yes, we could definitely do that. And I know for those that are listening that weren't familiar with L-Nutra or that might be interested, we have some discounts going on right now. Is it okay to talk about that, Dr. Shu? We have some discounts in our programs.
Sure, and I see
Interesting.
our
Oh, there's
lovely
Dr.
host
Davis.
coming back.
Yes.
I'm back. I
You're back.
apologize. It looks like my internet decided it didn't want to work for a moment.
We love technology until we don't, right? It works and then it just stops. But I just wanted to let anyone out there that might be interested in our programs know that we do have a discount going on right now. Right now, there's one Cyber 25 where it's 25% off of our programs. And as you heard, that you get to partner with a fantastic physician like Dr. Davis and with one of the RDs on our team. But it's 25% off of those. And then starting December 5th, we have another great promotion. If you want to wait And it's free month, and it's the first month free, and then 20% off of the programs too, both the metabolic program and the diabetes remission and regression program.
I think a lot of people feel that they like to wait until the new year, and this is where I think we try to address the root cause of that, right? People are saying, "Oh, I don't want to think about that right now," and essentially, we want you to plan for the holidays, right? By joining a program right now, and it'll take a little while to get started because you have to see Dr. Davis and her colleagues first, and so on and so forth. Then by enrolling in December, which we're in right now, you'll be ready to capitalize on all the benefits of the program starting January. So that's why it's literally risk-free. First month is free, so that the whole point is to encourage you to sign up in December so that you can take control of your health as soon as possible.
Great. Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you both so much for being on with me today. Is there any last thoughts or anything else that you wanted to share before we go?
Well, I always say this, procrastination is probably the biggest enemy of the good, right? We know many things that we should do, but we wait until something. I don't know what that is, and to you, it could be January, right? But during the holiday season, you don't have to massacre this period. In other words, you can still enjoy, right, and still take good care of your health. And certainly, everybody always until a new beginning. But I just wanted to encourage everybody, take advantage of the time we have right now, and it's a journey. It's a journey. So it's like running a marathon. The point is you got to start now. So you start running, and that's my encouragement to all of our listeners today.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. And I know that we had posted your website. It's L-Nutra Health.com. And so if you're interested in learning more about their programs, getting the specials that they're running right now, go to their website and you can get more information there. But I just want to thank you both for being a part of this program today and chatting with me. It's been a real pleasure. And if you're interested in just meeting one of us doctors over at Love.Life Telehealth, you can also check out our website, love.life/telehealth. And we have doctors that cover all 50 states, DC and international. So whatever it is that you want to be seen for, whether it's diabetes or hypertension or high cholesterol or obesity, autoimmune diseases, we can help walk you through making those lifestyle changes to help treat, manage, reverse those chronic conditions. So again, visit us at Love.Life Telehealth or L-Nutra at L-NutraHealth.com. Thank you again both for coming on today. It was really nice talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.